Putting my pants on properly.
Oh, yeah. Get that bulge out.
Get the bulge in. If I'm wearing my pants properly, the bulge is in. Get the bulge out. Sweet dick. Anyway, do you have an intro to do?
I don't know how old they are. Ah, forget it. Welcome.
I would never stop you.
He would never stop me.
Right. So do the intro. Come
Oh,
on.
thank you. Bastard. Welcome to CDR. I am Bryn. This is Matt. This is where we give our super unprofessional opinion. Let everyone know that it has been quite a while because someone amongst us has become a new daddy. Congratulations, mate.
Thank you. What is sleep?
It's precious. That's what it is.
Yeah, not wrong.
Okay.
Not wrong.
Not wrong. This week, actually for the last couple of months, we've been listening to 100 Gecs, 1,000 Gecs, the internet sensation meme popping, hyper pop, bubblegum pop, track step, dub step, bit of little rock riffing going on.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
A lot of everything. This is a debut from them, even though they've had a self-produced track
EP.
Thank you. 100 Gecs. Seem a bit of a theme going on here for their
Was
albums.
that called 64 Gecs?
Why 64 Gecs?
Why the fuck not?
It's 100 Gecs, I think.
That's their band name.
Yes, but their album was 100 Gecs too.
Pause, editor. So, 64 Gecs, but it's labeled as 100 Gecs. Like, can you make sense of that? Imagine you didn't have the 100 Gecs underneath.
What's underneath the 64 Gec?
Literally, Gecs, enter the gecko. So, I mean, you're right, but
I'm also
literally
wrong.
64 Gecs is on the fucking front cover. That's why I was so confused.
Yeah, fair enough. It looks like we're somewhat right as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Their debut album came out in 2019. Dylan Brady and Laura Les from out of St. Louis in America. First met at a rodeo when they were at a school event. Didn't meet again until at a house party where they decided, you know what, we'll try and get some music going on. Dylan was already producing, making music at this time, doing heaps and heaps of things. But, Laura went off to college. Dylan stayed in St. Louis for his college. And they were just sending Logic projects back and forth, trying to get things together. And this was going over a couple of years until they were blowing up on the internet and had to do a Minecraft Fire Festival as the deadline was coming. They kind of pulled the finger out and did the job. Rolling Stones has said they're the artist you need to know. New York Times has said it was the album of the year, 2019. The iconic tree that you see on the front cover, they found while they were filming the Money Machine film clip. Dylan has also worked with Charlie XCX on a couple of songs, being Click, Claws, and Anthem.
Was this after? This is after they blew up in 2019, right?
Yeah, I think someone introduced Charlie XCX to 100 Gecs and fell in love.
Match made in heaven, really.
I mean, they're in the same area.
Yep.
They've got to be. Laura, who also goes by the name of Osno1, has just brought out her own single, Haunted. It's pretty catchy. It's pretty cool. Still along the same line of her vocals have to come in that like nightcore is what they call it. I don't know why. Someone explain that. Please drop that in. This is catchy, energetic, just all electronic with a little bit of riffing and rock. Some soft points, bubblegum pop. Wow, hyper pop.
This is hyperpop. It's basically we have too many ideas, so we better cram them in, and then some more ideas and just let it just burst at the seams because why the fuck not? And almost on a step-by-step basis, whatever people are expecting, whatever the convention is, we should definitely just take a right turn and go down some other particular path. Don't let them feel comfortable listening to the music. But the pop element is that it's still accessible. You can still listen to the tracks and still bop your head along, despite the fact that they're basically borderline psychopathic in their construction.
10 tracks running for 23 minutes, which is probably about as much as you can handle of this, with 2 songs that are just throw-ins of silliness and comedy, a little bit of humor.
We can get to those, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to those. Matthew, you chose this. Why did you choose this?
I chose it because the song that introduced me to them was Gek Gek Gek, which is one of those 2 silly songs that you mentioned. Turns out it's the more structured of the strange songs, if you will, because there's actually a singing component to it, and the weirdness is a little bit more structured than I Need Help Immediately. But the reason I chose it was because it was completely off the wall. I knew it'd be catchy, and I also chose it because I had lived through its presence in the meme space in 2019, just seeing it, and I understood it in a meme sense without ever going through and listening to what the music was. I understood that it was divisive. People either loved it or hated it, and the people who hated it couldn't understand if the people who liked it were just posing to pretend to like it so they could pick up some tail, and that was generally a lot of the memes in that space, because that was obviously at the time where I think incels were a big meme talking point too, so it was just a strange wash at the time. But I wanted to hear it to see if it was any good, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Well, this does have a second verse with a lot more songs and remixes. You've listened to it?
Oh, so yeah, they did a remix album the following year. Yeah, just the Tree of Clues. The tracks that I liked from this album, I enjoyed the remixes of, and then there were a few that were just kind of awful. There's none that really stick out, but I liked all of the remixes for I Would Never Stop You because I just really like that song. What can I say?
What can I say? We found out Matt's favorite song already.
Yeah.
I went through it, and that second album, The Tree of Clues, I was just like, they threw everything at it. They threw everything at it. And that may be the reason why a lot of people can't get behind it, because that's an hour long and hard to get through if you haven't heard the first one, the 1,000 Gecs.
It's a fan service. I mean, they have I Would Never Stop You in there 2 or 3 times.
745 is in there like 2 or 3 times.
It's just... They've allowed open slather to other influential artists in the space to go and basically pick it apart and have another go at it, which is why you get the multiple tracks popping up. And so it really is a fan service. You wouldn't listen to that without having listened to the original 1,000 Gecs album. That would be madness, more so than listening to the 1,000 Gecs album. How was your time with it?
I had so much fun.
Yeah?
Well, don't take this album seriously is the first thing.
Yep.
Like music, I'm getting to a stage where you don't take everything seriously. It's not always meant to be that way. Sometimes it's just meant to be like Seth Centuries. It's like just a bit jokey, fun, running around. It's 23 minutes long, full of energy. It's enough to get you through for a little bit. But I am so happy I was introduced to this.
Yeah.
This is with the run-up of... who do we have? We had Nature. Who was that? Robin?
So Nurture. That was Porter Robinson.
And then we had Charlie XCX. And then we've landed into this. I feel like I'm well lubricated to this hyper pop genre. I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it.
Man, it really is like if Porter Robinson and Charlie XCX went to hell and stayed there for like a millennia, this is what would have burst.
This would have bubbled out of that pit. Yeah. And I'm happy that we spent... Like, this is the long term of a couple of months with this album.
Yep.
Because any other album I would have been over with. But this one, I didn't. I couldn't get over it.
Yeah.
I just always found myself loving every song, or almost every song. But Stupid Horse and Money Machine can't help but, like, dance around. It's like...
I think the thing that it does is it's interesting. Like, you can have things be silly.
Yep.
But if there's some core interest or novelty... then you can latch yourself to it and actually enjoy it. Like, the better parts of Seth Century's music, because you referenced him just before, are the turns of phrase that blindside you. So, like, for me, the first thing I think of is his lyrics where he's like, you know, stay frosty like a cupcake, because it's just not what you would put in a rap song, and that's the point of that particular part of the song. That's an originality that I particularly like. I hate the music component, but the lyrics were interesting for me in that point. The music here just, it doesn't know what it wants to be, and so it takes every turn at the same time. It's like you get to, it's like going to a T intersection and going, which way would you like to go, left or right? And 100 Gecs just say yes.
I was like 100 Gecs just like straight and then left and right.
Yeah, who knows, or up.
Do a solid U-turn, dig down, pop out somewhere.
It's that complete randomness or apparent randomness that makes it so fun to listen to, because once you become acclimatized to the music, the randomness is also in the song structure. That's the first thing that hits you, but then the randomness is in the fact that there are dogs barking or water droplets or just random shit happening at different times, or the fact that suddenly you're listening to these maxed out glitchy beats and they're ramming you in the head, but in your left ear you can hear some goddamn cowbell. It's like, it's that sort of shit that pops up, right?
There's a cowbell in your favorite song.
Sadly. Sometimes you got to break the rules.
You do. You have to let it go.
This album is a testament to that.
If only they had a triangle.
I'd prefer triangle way better than cowbell. Cowbell is like dirt tier. Fucking hate cowbell.
Okay, shall we start out with
745
Sticky?
And you know what? Despite the fact we've been on this album for a couple of months at this stage, no idea what the sticky part is meant to be or reference or anything. I mean, I know that she's broke by 745, but sticky? I don't know. I've missed that. But
what was the song that you were saying is maybe influenced by living or avoiding problems through weed?
That's a 800 decibel cloud.
Yeah, that could be just, oh shit, I lost all my money. No, let's get on it.
I'm not even going to pretend that there's anything close to a narrative.
I don't think there's any connection between any of these songs. I'm just swinging.
Now, one thing I did notice listening through to it is that one flavor that pops up a lot is this hip-hop sensibility. Now, it's poppy, it's definitely bubblegum pop at a lot of times, and then there's all the random ideas make it this weird, this hyper pop. But some of the verse deliveries feel really hip-hop-esque, and some of the backing beats really give me that American hip-hop vibe, and I think that starts on this 745 Sticky. You know, that dun, 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 spend my money like it's stolen, yeah, shit, I'm already broke, it's only 7:45 in the morning, yeah. Goddamn. Yeah, it has that cadence that I would associate with that. And there are a couple other tracks throughout the album that give me that feel. And you were saying beforehand that, I can't remember, is it Laura? Is that her name? She must have had some sort of time spent with American hip-hop, right?
She was doing a little producing when she was in college, and she was working with a lot of rappers, and they were asking her to put things together, plus probably putting a couple of beats together as well. I think that's maybe where she picked up that construct of her singing type. It worked very well, but I think along this line, it didn't need to be overly pretty. Maybe that sort of, that roughness that brings to it is awesome. And you know, setting auto-tune all the way to 0.
Well, that's it. Like, they completely go all in on the fact that the vocals, the words don't really matter as much. The vocals sort of bleed in and become part of the music space more so than like a normal vocalist. Whereas like a normal vocalist, it's the singer and then the music. Whereas it's harder to distinguish the singing from the music. It's a strange way to say it, because I know it's all bundled in with each other, but you listen to the album and you very quickly pick up on that, especially on my favorite track, I Would Never Stop You. The fact that the auto-tune bumps around at a basically inhuman rate, it doesn't sound like singing in the traditional sense, which it obviously isn't, but it sort of falls more into the music more than traditional artists would.
If anyone wants to figure out what that means, it's more like Cher when she does "Do you believe love after?"
So funny trivia about that is that was the first time
Cher ever used auto-tune. Denied it,
which is the stupidest thing.
Oh my god! It was it was almost like shunned upon to do it, and then was it Little Wayne? No, T-Pain.
T-Pain.
T-Pain just went nuts and did it for every song. It's like, I don't give a shit.
Well, yeah, he was going for a flavor, and like this is then taking it to the nth degree. It's like we are going to only play. We're going to have the singer sing, 64 notes in a bar because we can make them do that. I really like this song. This song is really boppy, and then it has the real strange breakdown at the end where you've got like the dog bark and the droplet and the
yeah, the sirens going off, but before that, like the whole Skrillex dubstep was pulling through. It was like catchy hooks. I kind of like at the start, it's got this reverse action in the notes before they, before they just pump in the bass and just drop it and flow into that hip hop rap style. Great way to start. It really does kind of set it up, the whole thing, especially when you get to the end where it just kind of falls apart by throwing anything they want at the end. You're just like, what am I into?
Yeah.
And you roll into Money Machine where the line is, the intro lyrics are just hilarious.
Yeah. Are you a little piss baby or something like?
I was like, what was it? Hey, you little piss baby, you think you're tough? You're such a small truck. Look at those arms. Your arms are so cute. They're like cigarettes. I bet I could smoke you.
Yeah.
Roast you. And you'd love it and text me I love you. And then I fucking ghost you.
Yeah, you talk a lot of big game for someone with such a small truck.
Oh.
This is clearly the single from the album. It's the most single-like from it. But it also isn't devoid of that like squeaky candy-esque like techno vibe, and then at the very end where it just sort of disintegrates as well. That's
the ending distortion.
It's abrasive.
Yeah.
It's just totally, it's like maxed out abrasive. It's almost like someone's dropped a microphone in front of the speaker and then like, this is now our sound.
This one and another one I said actually, Gecs to you. I'm like, it sounds like your speakers are blown by now. They've lost that glue holding it together. It's just distortion all the way, abrasive.
I mean, that's what this is how I would tip if I'll start again. This is how I would explain 1,000 Gecs to someone. It's basically 3 words. I would say maxed, glitchy, catchy.
Yep.
That's 100 Gecs, 1,000 Gecs, all the Gecs. That's what it is. It's like there are going to be occasions where they're playing with that maxed out sound in similar ways to like Death from Above were. They played a lot in that space. But these guys glitch it out. They go to Skrillex lengths and beyond, and then sometimes they bring it into these subtler, glitchy sounds. But the one prevailing fact is that every song is catchy. Even the ones that you don't like are catchy. You have to admit that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So that's them in a nutshell. I think Money Machine is the best representation of that.
I feel like you can pull out some sweet dance moves to Money Machine.
Yeah, up until the track disintegrates. And the fact that it goes for not even 2 minutes, I mean, it would have to be a very quick dance.
Yeah, well, 23 minutes long, 10 tracks, they're all about 2 minutes long. Yeah. So even if you play it to someone, it's just 2 minutes of their life rule.
Yeah, it's only 2 minutes. Yeah.
So just calm down. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
It'll be all right. 800 decibel cloud. This makes me giggle every time.
Why?
Because how it ends, where it's just the cannibal, I think a Cannibal Corpse screamo. And the fact they end, like the last couple of seconds sounds like they're trying to get out everything they possibly can with one breath that it turns into the grudge.
Yeah, it's really like ASMR kind of. Like you imagine he's right up on the mic just like inhaling, making these really kind of sounds right into the mic, but it works for it. Like that part is just so sadistic, and it has like a metal flavor, like a grungy metal flavor to it. This song actually has like a little bit of a story. It's kind of like hiding behind weed consumption to avoid your problems. You know,
I like how it kind of ends in that grunge, but it started out so soft.
Yeah.
So soft from one side to the other, and it just goes boom.
Yeah,
takes off.
It probably has, I reckon, the catchiest line in the whole album for mine. The line that always sticks in my head is when like the music stops towards the back end of the track, and it's like, "I'ma go and throw my phone to the lake." Yeah, and you can just imagine that angsty teenager doing that shit.
Yep.
But the music cuts away to give that line its space in the sun, and Yeah, I really, really like this song.
That was well executed, for sure. Every time I'm in the car, I'm just like, you pretend to throw the phone. Like, who hasn't wanted to throw their phone? Is like, fuck it.
Yeah, unfortunately, just the nerdy conservative part of me is like, oh no, but then I'd have to get it replaced. And it's, oh gee, it would be such a bother.
That's right. If you got a flip phone, go ahead and do it. You need a new one anyway.
What about the new flip phones? Next song?
Yeah. Right. Okay.
I need help immediately, obviously.
I need help immediately. I only describe as Looney Tune as film where a human has rocked up in front of a bunch of aliens, starving, dying, all on death's door. Please, I need help immediately. And these aliens only speak through glitches and songs that they can reproduce, almost like Bumblebee with the radio.
Yeah.
And it's just pretty much just a joke all the way through.
So, I mean, I actually prefer the way you were explaining it to me in the car on the way here. You basically said it's like the old school Windows Movie Maker, where they had all of the sample sounds that you could use in Movie Maker, except this song is just them lining them up one by one and playing through all of them. You just happen to sit through and you're like, that sound effect doesn't go with that. Oh, okay. And then every now and then the alien comes through. Immediately. Please do something. That's the fucking song.
That's it. That's it. Play someone that for 100 Gecs. Check this out.
You'll get some looks, but you can have a smug look on your face saying, "Yeah, I like this," and just be pretentious about
just
it.
Giggle it's great. All the way through.
I mean, that's what I did when I showed it to you, right?
Stupid Horse, my favorite song. I can't help but love it with the riff. Just what did you say? This is up and upstroke.
So it's ska. So that's what that verse is. So anytime you hear the upstrum in that sort of up-tempo beat, that's ska music for sure. It's sort of like an off-brand, offshoot of like punk music. Because then you get into the chorus and it's very late 90s pop punk. I mean, you said it. Say the song.
Sorry?
Say the song. You know.
Oh, Scotty doesn't know.
It sounds like Scotty doesn't know. But they're going for that. They're taking all of the campy tropes from late 90s pop punk and they're cramming into this song knowingly. And that's the interesting part here, is how knowingly it is. Even the fact that like throughout the song, you have old mate in the background going, pick it up. It's just so... It would be cringy if it wasn't self-aware, but it's so self-aware that it's just totally enjoyable. And then you have that upbeat verse that...
Yeah, a little horse like racing about, yeah. It's got a lot of energy, a lot of, I guess racehorse-esque track behind it. But I love this mainly because of the Scotty doesn't know, but it's got this Vanga Boy feel, reminisce that I get. It feels like a giant internet meme to me. But the fun part is that it's literally just based around the fact that he's lost all his money at the racetrack because of a stupid horse, but then he beats up the jockey, takes his phone, and gets the horse back to his place in a Porsche. Yeah. And he falls out of the Porsche.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally the whole song. And I enjoyed the fact that they just took one concept and then just made a 2-minute song out of it, and it worked. It was... I love it. I love it.
And it was a tongue-in-cheek ode, (?) to 90s pop punk, which, I'm down for.
Yeah.
My favorite track.
Oh, here we go.
I will never stop you, 'cause you know I'm crazy for you, baby. And you gotta know, everything you got me always feel like... Man, we probably just maxed the shit out of our microphones. Anyway, this song is just comfortably my most favorite track because it starts off as like this pristine club track. You're listening to it and you're like, yeah, the beat's gonna drop. It's coming, they've got these sweet lyrics pumping through that just feels like every other club track you've ever heard. And then it drops and it's this ugly Skrillex maxed glitchy sound that's abrasive. And like I said, in your left ear is the goddamn cowbell popping off, which is so stupid that it works. But then the fact is that when the second I Would Never Stop You refrain comes in, the vocal movements are so otherworldly. It sounds more like a guitar tapping than it does a singer. And that part I found just a little bit intoxicating. I really quite liked it.
I really did. It sounded like a crackly voice, like almost animated.
It's absolutely animated. Like it, you can't imagine a human singing. It has to be a fucking cartoon. This song is comfortably my favorite on the album, and it just devolves. The vocals become even more part of the music. Like it's she says "bay, bay, bay" over and over again, but it's not bay by the end of it. Bay is like kind of like the beat, and bang, 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 bang. That's sort of what I mean when the vocals are less vocals. They're actually more a percussive instrument as part of the overall music design. I really quite like that.
That's the fun part of, I guess, electronics is the fact that you're dancing with a machine and not an actual instrument, and you can do whatever you want. You can change and warp it and modify it, morph it to whatever you want it to be, and they did a great job with that.
They did a great job playing around with what your expectations are for what different instrumentation should be, and that includes your vocal performance. They were like, no, the vocal performance, we want it to serve the function of a guitar tapping. So we're going to do that. Now we need a drum. Well, we better use the vocal performance. Anyway.
Yep. Matt's banger. Ringtone. This is, quite frankly, this is my least favorite. Just not out of the two comedy songs. This is a little too teeny bopper. A little too. What was you saying? The meme used to be that the only people that you liked 100 Gecs were mentally ill schoolgirls.
Something like that. Maybe not mentally ill, but maybe in the process of maturing might be how you more put it.
Sure.
But whilst this is a little bit sickly sweet for the most part, and it does have a slightly darker edge towards the end, but I don't think that accounts for the remainder of the song. I'm with you. This is a skippable track for me. It still has a little moment
in the middle
that I like. Yeah, the part where it's like, I got a little thing for you, I got a little crush or something. Like that part, I kind of latched to. I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then it's like, maybe I'm just drunk as fuck. I customize my ringtone, but it's always you. It's an energy and. It's an energy that I quite like, and the lyric shape is interesting to me. It's a choice of words. Every time I listen to the song, I think are interesting or novel. I like the fact that it's, I got a little crush or something. It's just a totally non-committal statement by the character in the song that I quite enjoy. And it's just not something I would have ever thought to write, if I were writing the song. And so it caught me off guard, and I liked that part. But yeah, the song as a whole, yeah.
Yeah, in the middle, that part also got that. It's got a cool riff right at that point where it's doing the...
Yeah, it's a bit of a build-up
towards
the campier end, and then it has that ugly... When I hear that ringtone now, it makes me sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part.
It's like the part she's finally mature. It's like, oh, no.
Yeah. So I like the fact that there's a bit of a touch on the fact that this character in the song is now suddenly supremely anxious of the person that she likes. But,
teenagers.
Gek.
Oh my god, this is scrolling through Splice. This is more of the Microsoft movie samples.
This is a better one, though.
But this is so much better. The last minute falls into a song of singing and, a bit of a spacey tune as well.
Yeah.
I can get out of the two compared to Please Help Me. Gek is definitely in front.
There's a part in the weird musical bits to the front end of the song that I quite like. It's after the gek part. And it's right after that droplet sound. So it's right after the droplet. It goes whoop. And then it's... The second measure of that has a random full beat of just silence.
Yes.
Wedged in between the measure, but the measure plays out normally if you ignore that beat of silence. And for some reason, I keep on picking up on that and enjoying the silliness of that silence, that one beat of silence, which is absurd because the entire... first half of the song is absurd. It's just this like strange, we're putting anything together, postmodernist, nothing means anything thing. But I can't help but enjoy just that one little snippet every single time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, yeah, it's fairly noticeable, and he's just like, why?
Because would be the answer, and full stop, and no extension to that sentence required. Because
Fuck you, that's why.
Yeah, basically.
Hand Crushed by a Mallet. I keep forgetting about this song, honestly.
Agreed, actually. This song always sort of slips through. On repeated listens, though, this has a bit more of a hip-hop flavor to it as well. I think this is another one of those tracks where the hip-hop flavoring comes through a bit more.
I think it's just because of the bass is real, like, flat and heavy.
No, maybe not. I think it's the vocal delivery. It's like, you just copy everything we do. You know it was me. I copy me too. Yeah. Like that weird trail-off vocal run at the end of every line, for some reason in my head, sounds like an American hip-hop flavor. I might be completely wrong about that, but that's just the vibe that I get. But I agree with you. This song is kind of forgettable.
It is forgettable, except for that one point where you just sung. I always remember that, and that sticks to me. Okay? I really enjoy that small section of that song. But yeah, I every time I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is on here.
Yeah,
I forgot.
It's not like I dislike the song. Like when it's on, I'm happy to listen to it. It's just, slips the brain net. There you go.
Yeah, it doesn't quite grab you like,
I would never stop you. Yeah.
Yep, all stupid horse. Get to You. This is quite interesting how they start out this really soft and easy and sensible, and then it just the ending I think is perfect for the album. Yeah. What Matt's trying to explain is that they just have sort of this marching band X electronic going on. They double time it, and then they double time it again, and then just roll it out for the rest of it. And a solid way to end the whole album.
But it highlights those three things that are present throughout the rest of the album. It's maxed, it's glitchy, and it's catchy. I can't help but hear it. Funnily enough, I think the rest of the song is almost a take it or leave it proposition. Aside from randomly in the first verse towards the lead into the chorus, has probably the most upbeat drum and bass rhythm leading into that first chorus. Suddenly, like across the entire album, it's just like it rollicks, and it's just this one tiny section of the song. It never appears again, and nowhere else on the album is quite so upbeat as that, with maybe the exception of the entirety of Stupid Horse. And it just that always catches my attention. But yeah, it's funny how you can still feel warmly towards a song despite the fact that the thing that you like about it is literally the crazed, accelerated outro. Or in my mind, this drum and bass bit that just pops in and then never comes back.
Yep.
It kind of reminds me of, do you remember the Black Midi song, BM, BM, BM?
Yes.
There's a random 808 drum. There's like 3 snare hits at the start of that song, and they never use it throughout the rest of the song. But I'm so aware of those 808 drums right at the start of the track that I'm always listening out for, and for some reason that ends up giving it like a little tick up in my estimation, and I get an enjoyment out of it.
It's like a tease, but enough to keep you going, enough to keep you satisfied.
Yeah, I can't rationalize it much better than that.
You talk about like these little sounds that pique your interest, but like they're in every song. And 745 Sticky, it's almost every 2 bars they just change it, and it's another upbeat. Oh god, it's so much. I can't keep up. I really honestly cannot keep up with every little thing that happens in this album.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that like a 23-minute album you could probably listen to for several months and still feel as though you probably haven't experienced it fully yet. No. And so you can see why these guys were so pivotal in the music space in 2019. This album drops, and you can't help but feel that it might have been the revelation of a new direction that the music industry or a subset of the music industry might take depending on the success of it. It garnered a lot of attention, and I think a lot of people are interested to see what these guys do next. It'll probably be called a 10,000 Gecs because what else are they going to call it? But that might end up being something of a pivotal album for this sound space, the hyper pop, bubblegum pop genre, because in quite the same way that King Giz has defined modern psych rock, there might be elements of definition that 100 Gecs brings to this genre. So it's exciting. It's sort of right on the precipice of true originality and interest.
Yep.
I would say that might be a bit grandiose, but anyway.
1,000 Gecs by 100 Gecs. This is probably some would call towards the tippy top end of hyperpop. Really setting the bar high for a lot of other people that want to be a part of this genre.
Yep. Because I think it'd be very easy to fall into the same pattern of just doing random shit for the sake of doing random shit. Yep. Whereas you have a song like Stupid Horse on this album, which it's upbeat and it sort of doesn't share quite the same qualities as the other songs, but it differentiates itself enough. But it still has some of the energy that you can get from the rest of the songs. It's original, even though, as I'm saying that, I remember explaining it as an ode to 90s pop punk, which isn't original. So there's like these complexities and these almost contradictions in the way that the music is sort of set up. And I think that's part of the magic of this particular album, and something that might be very easy not to do properly if you were just haphazardly making a hyper pop album, say.
Yeah, you can't throw it all together and reproduce this. No, there's a lot of work in there.
Yeah, the thought and planning has gone into this 23-minute punch in the face.
Matthew, you want to give your score?
Yeah, I want to give it a score. What do you think I gave it?
7.5.
I'm actually going to give it an 8.5. I really enjoy this album.
Yeah, this is a fucking good album. Don't take it seriously. It's 23 minutes, 10 tracks. You can skip I Need Help and probably Get. Don't skip Get. You're going to enjoy that singing part at the end.
Skip I Need Help and Ringtone, and I reckon you're laughing. You're
pretty good to go. I mean, if you're in our age bracket.
The rest of it is just banger after banger.
Yeah, solid bangers. Give it a whirl. Please let us know some fun facts or anything else about this, because I had a hard time finding anything background information about this. It's almost lost in the web.
These guys are probably more prevalent in the meme space, I would say. If you go on the Wikipedia page, it's just a couple of kids making a fun album, but on the meme space, they were basically it for several months in 2019.
Yep.
Which is exceptional given the fact that they are just a couple of people doing what they love.
Yeah, and they got other projects going on. Dylan's got another band called Cake Pop, and they got a second album coming out called Cake Pop 2. Really killing it with the names.
Okay, really? Man, I mean, if it's working, it's working, right? Like,
I think they've got time to do whatever they want.
But I mean, maybe now that I'm thinking about it, like the fact that their album names and their band names are tough to differentiate between each other sort of plays into that like postmodern craziness that they're playing with. The fact that, we're going to have this section of music and then we're going to have another section of music that just doesn't correlate at all. It really shouldn't be together, but we're going to put it together anyway because fuck you.
Yep.
Like that's their methodology, but they do it knowingly, which also sounds like a contradiction, which I guess is a good thing because I said it was a good thing like 5 minutes ago. So.
Yeah, we've done this quite a bit. All right, shall we move on to next week's album?
Next season's album?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
What's the album?
K-Bay by Matthew E. White.
Matthew E. White. Like the name?
Yeah.
K-Bay.
K-Bay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. This has been CDR. We've been listening to 100 Gecs. Get on it. Please leave any information, facts, or if you just want to...
Corrections.
Yeah, definitely. Have fun. Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.
K-Bay.
Yeah. You may like this one.
K baby, K baby, K. Boys say, all the boys and the girls in the butt. Hey, who sings that? Hey baby, hey baby, hey. Boys say, hey baby.
All the boys in the band.
It's like Gwen Stefani or No Doubt.
I think it might be.
Yeah. All right, give us some K-Bay.
All
the boys and the girls and the